The flag outside the Bismarck Police Department flies at half-staff, a sign of the sorrow and heavy hearts here at police headquarters. One of their own, Sergeant Steve Kenner, was shot and killed last night while responding to a call.
Welcome you here to the police department on this sad day.
It's an incident very difficult for Bismarck Police Chief Keith Witt to talk about.
Approximately 10:38 p.m. on Friday, July 9th, a 911 call was received in which it was reported a man was threatening a woman with a knife.
Sergeant Steve Kenner made a living responding to these kind of calls, but this one ended his life. Officers went to 2520 East Broadway. Kenner and another officer approached a van near this home, and that's when the suspect, 52-year-old Stephen Bannister, shot Kenner. The other officer fired back, injuring Bannister and making him unable to get away.
And we all go through our careers hoping that this never happens in our department, never happens to someone that we work with. So I think it definitely brings home the reality that, again, as I said before, that law enforcement is a dangerous profession.
Kenner has been with the department for 32 years. Chief Witt says he was dedicated, hardworking, and a mentor to young officers.
Without a doubt, here in the department, when we had a tough traffic accident or question, he was the one that we turned to. He was our in-house expert, without a doubt. He was just a good man. I think his physical size, sometimes folks found him intimidating, but that really wasn't the way he was. He was really nice, just a nice man.
Counseling is being made available to officers and other staff here at the Bismarck Police Department. Sergeant Kenner leaves behind a wife and 3 children. The men and women Sergeant Kenner worked alongside with the night he died are at his side today. His shift leads the way, honorary casket bearers for the man who always had their back.
We are here today, unfortunately, because Steve made the ultimate sacrifice in service to those he had sworn to protect.
Sergeant Kenner was shot while answering a call for help last Friday. It was his last call.
Sergeant Steve Kenner laid down his life for his city and his community. In other words, he laid down his life for us.
Sergeant Kenner's friends say who he was made him a good cop, an officer who was always taking care of his brothers and sisters, an officer who was continually looking to improve, an officer who was passionate about making Bismarck a better place.
We are together as a family today due to the tireless work of one man whose mission was to maintain the dignity, the integrity, and the peaceful coexistence within our community. Steve died doing what he loved most.
Sergeant Steve Kenner was a mountain of a man, but not just in stature, but he's a mountain of a man in many other ways. He will be deeply missed.
Missed by so many. He spent 32 years on the streets of Bismarck, and the police department is hearing from those people he pulled over, people he helped, and people he saved.
Sergeant Stephen Kenner is a hero, not because of his unfortunate, tragic, untimely death, but because of the life he lived.
Officer number 40 answered the call and gave it all.
40, headquarters, status check. 40, headquarters, status check. Last call, 40, headquarters, status check.
Headquarters 40's 1042. End of watch, July 8th, 2011 at 22:47 hours.
You could not ask for a better police officer or a better man to do this job.
He carried himself in a manner that he was kind. You've heard this gentle giant. But I'll tell you what, when a hammer needed to be brought down and it needed to be this way or that way, he was the one that would make sure it got done the way it needed to get done.
He wanted to be where the action was. He was on the list to be the next lieutenant, and he told me he didn't want to do it because then he wouldn't be able to go out and do the things that he loved to do.
He's a big, huge man physically, and his heart is way bigger than his body.
Somebody's house would start on fire or something, he'd be immediately on the phone contacting people he knew. Hey, these people lost their house, they lost their possessions, what can we do to help them out? He just always put everybody first. He was always trying to do what was right. He was just a little bit above a lot of people just because of that commitment that he had to his job, to his people, to the city. I mean, he absolutely just loved being here.
How is he going to be missed? That's words don't express, in my opinion. It is such an empty hole. I'll take this pain to have known that great man.
Well, that was amazing, and that was a fitting tribute, I think, for Steve. He was a good guy. It just meant a lot that the community was out there and appreciative of Sergeant Kenner's efforts.
He's watching over us, and we're carrying him with us every day we go out there and do our job.
A family left speechless by shock and grief speaks through a friend. Lieutenant Steve Kildee shares words written by Steve Kenner's wife, Debbie. She, along with her youngest son, Taylor, and her dad, sit and listen.
It has been impossible for them to personally thank everyone who offered their support, as many of the cards, letters, donations, and other offerings of sympathy they received had no return addresses.
Since Sergeant Kenner's death, July 8th, the family has been overwhelmed by the signs of sympathy. 56-year-old Kenner was shot and killed while responding to a domestic assault in Bismarck. He was the first Bismarck police officer killed on duty.
We, the family of Sergeant Steve Kenner, humbly extend our sincere gratitude for all the support, cards, letters, phone calls, visits, and especially prayers.
More than 2,000 people turned out to honor Sergeant Kenner, hundreds of them brothers in law enforcement, but many strangers who came to show respect.
To all the law enforcement and community members who were at the service, to those of you who showed your respect along the procession route, and to those of you who were at the cemetery service, and to all who offered support and encouragement along the way, please know your kind actions will never be forgotten.
The community Sergeant Kenner spent 32 years serving and protecting was there to support Officer Number 40's family during their most difficult time.
We have always known the caring fabric of the Bismarck-Mandan community. Never did we realize the depth would extend across the state of North Dakota and the entire nation.
In Bismarck, Danelle Presky, KX News.